At the time I'm recording this, I'm 26 years old and I've been clean from gambling for 872 days. But if I could go back and talk to my 18-year-old self before I placed my first bet, before the lies, the massive losses, and of course the secret debts, I'd tell him this. This video is for anyone who thinks that they can't stop gambling. Anyone who feels stuck, ashamed, and alone as a result of their actions. I want to show you exactly what I've learned through 6 years of active gambling addiction and 2 years of recovery. These are the lessons that I had to learn the hard way. One bet, one relapse, one painful truth at a time. Let's get into it with lesson 1. When I first started gambling, I believed that I was in control. I convinced myself that I was being smart. I'd study statistics. I'd seek out lines that looked like they had value for me. I created patterns of betting and strategies to minimize the risk and try to make a long-term profit. And I actually believed that I was beating the system, that I, for some reason, would be the exception to the rule. But here's what I didn't understand. The entire gambling industry is built to make you feel like you are making strategic, logical, intelligent decisions, when in reality, you're reacting to a perfectly designed illusion of control. I never won long-term because every single bet, no matter how well thought through, no matter how much time I took on it, contained a house edge. A statistical truth that would always be there to take my money bit by bit. I'd get ahead sometimes, sure, but always I would give it back every single time. No win was ever enough to satisfy me, and with each bet, the losses just started to become more likely. Lesson 1. The illusion of control is the trap. Gambling is entertainment dressed up as strategy, or even worse, a full-time job. Lesson 2. There's nothing more addictive than being close to a win. 5 out of 6 legs on a parlay, maybe one symbol away from a bonus round on a slot, or hitting 22 in blackjack. Those near misses, well, they're not a coincidence. They're literally strategically there as a part of the design. It tricks your brain into thinking that you're close, not just metaphorically either. A near miss actually produces more dopamine in your brain than a win does. It ignites that sense of competition in so many people of, if I just keep trying, I'm bound to get there. I was so close. But being close doesn't matter. Losing by 1 yard or 100 yards, it's still a loss. And the casinos, well, they want you to try again because every bet you make, they expect to make a profit on. Lesson 2, the near miss isn't bad luck, it's bait. Now moving on to lesson 3. Now I didn't gamble just to win. I gambled to feel something. Whenever I was stressed, lonely, anxious, bored, gambling was the escape hatch. It gave me a rush, it numbed my thoughts, it distracted me from everything that I didn't want to feel. Gambling wasn't the problem for me, it was my solution, which, of course, created a crap ton of problems. When I was active in my addiction, that is the only thing that mattered. When I say escape hatch, I truly mean decoupling from reality and only caring about the event in front of me. I felt stress and anxiety making the bets, but it was anxiety that I created. Weirdly, a thing like gambling where I had no control over the outcome was where I felt most comfortable, most in control. Life was a lie, and all the feelings of happiness that I thought I felt were really just artificial. Lesson 3. If gambling is your escape, you're not just gambling with money, you're gambling with your peace. There were days that I'd sit at home, split screening 4 games that I had money on. I'd forget to eat, I'd forget to drink water, forget to go to the bathroom, answer my texts from friends and family, and the number of dates that I missed because I was busy gambling. I was hyper fixated on this gambling that the hours would just flash by. I thought I was being disciplined, studying my craft, focused and ready to pounce on opportunities. I was clearly delusional. In reality, I was just lost, and I was wasting my days away, chasing a win that would never satisfy me anyways. Lesson 4. Gambling doesn't just steal money, it steals time. Time that you never get back. I used to tell myself that was the last time, or I'll stop after that next win. Just one more and I promise I'll never gamble again. Then the apps were still on my phone, the deposit button was right there in front of me, the ads were still following me around, and eventually I'd give in again and repeat the cycle. Self-exclusion finally changed that for me. Self-exclusion is voluntarily banning yourself from being allowed to play at the casino or sportsbook. And I blocked myself from every casino I'd ever played at, every site that I had an account on, and every app that I'd ever downloaded. I made gambling harder to access. And that gave me the space to think, to breathe, to really begin to understand that I was gambling out of habit at this point, not because I was enjoying it anymore. Lesson 5, willpower fades. Make it hard to relapse. Set up roadblocks before the cravings hit. I lied to everyone. I lied to hide the debt. I lied about where I was. I lied about how much I lost. I was just used to it. And the more I lied, the more isolated I became. Then one day, I told the truth. I told my family what I did. I told them that I needed help. I needed accountability. I needed support. That moment of truth changed everything. Lesson 6, you don't heal through shame. You heal through honesty. This addiction thrives in the dark. If we bring it into the light, we can actually begin to rebuild. I used to love sports. I'd watch for the thrill, the rivalry, the big moments. It was on at every family event, and basically everyone I know from age 0 to age 18 is a diehard Philly fan. But once I started betting, I stopped watching the game and started watching numbers. I'd be pacing around the room, checking stats, praying for an injury, screaming over missed field goals, or even worse, missed rebounds. It wasn't fun anymore. I was no longer a fan. I was just a desperate gambler, and every game was just filled with wagers. Lesson 7, when your financial security rides on the outcome of a game, you stop enjoying the game for what it is. At some point, gambling stopped being exciting, and it became the only thing that made me feel anything at all. Nothing else hit the same. A normal day felt dull, hobbies that I'd previously loved felt boring, even good news didn't feel good enough. It just felt okay. I had overloaded my brain with dopamine, and it needed a full reset. Lesson 8, gambling gives you junk food dopamine. You feel full, but you're starving underneath. You'd think that the goal was to win big, right? But here's the truth, I did win big. A few times, actually. There were plenty of times where those wins could have really helped me get ahead in life. But every time, I gave it all back and more. Why? Because I wasn't gambling to win, I was gambling to keep playing. And in the brain of a gambling addict, you get more thrill, more dopamine, more pleasure from placing a bet and anticipating the result than you do from winning or losing that bet. Big wins didn't satisfy me. They bolstered my bankroll so I could bet bigger. Lesson 9, the goal for a gambling addict isn't to win. The goal is to feel, and that's the real addiction. Lesson 10, when I stopped gambling, everything felt gray at first. Life felt slower, less exciting. My days were pretty quiet. I didn't know quite what to do with myself, but slowly things changed. I started enjoying small things again. I started having real conversations. I found joy in new routines and hobbies. That boring phase, that was my brain healing. I also felt pretty down, but the truth was that I finally had the mental space to feel my emotions. The reality before was that I was numbing myself with years of gambling. Lesson 10, boredom in recovery isn't failure, it's progress. Gambling addiction stole a lot from me, but it also taught me something that I never would have learned without going through it. And that was that I can live without the chaos. I can rebuild. I can feel joy without having to risk everything for it. If you're watching this and you're struggling, just know that you're not alone. It's okay to ask for help. It's okay to start over. And you don't need to hit rock bottom to make that change. You just need to decide that today is the day that you stop digging yourself a hole and start climbing out of this situation. If you want to hear about how I quit gambling and what really worked for me, then watch this video right here, and let's keep getting better together, one day at a time.